There goes that man's jockstrap.
Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports. There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship. Green Bay's got it this year. Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
The In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you by Canadips. Canadips is a CBD pouch crafted and manufactured in Humboldt, California. I like Canadips because it keeps me calm, and it can be a good alternative for anyone looking to stop smoking or chewing. My personal favorite is Tropical Mango. You can find the rest of their lineup of kick-ass products at canadips.com and use code LeagueOfTheirOwn15 for 15% off your order at checkout.
How's it going today? It's a wonderful Wednesday. How's it going?
It is going. It is hump day. A lot of stuff to look forward to this week. Excited for today's episode. Before we do dive into today's content, feel free to check out all of our other socials other than YouTube here. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Any breaking news outside of our 3 episodes a week, you can find that over there. Also today, it is again Whoops Wednesday, so we'll be posting sports memes, bloopers, all that good stuff today. Have a fun lineup for you guys today, so make sure you check those out either on Instagram or Twitter. I'll be posting those. For our audio episodes, you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, anywhere associated with Anchor. Anchor distributes us to, I believe, 8 or 9 different podcast destinations. So wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, you can probably find us. And as always, those 5-star ratings help us move up the charts over there. And lastly, our merch, you can find that also in the link below at streamerloot.co. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, all that good stuff. You can find that over there. Diving into our NFL content for the day, what do you got?
So recently in an interview with Snoop Dogg, CeeDee Lamb, when asked if the Cowboys are going to reach Super Bowl, he said, yes, indeed. Do you actually think that they have a chance?
I don't. I mean, it's just another year of everybody, all the Cowboys fans jumping on the Jerry Jones train that he's going to bring them to another Super Bowl when they haven't been able to make the playoffs. And when they make the playoffs, haven't been able to really get out of the first round. I mean, it's kind of funny that, it ended up working out. Mike McCarthy making his guarantee last week of beating Washington. Like, they made the guarantee, but like also made it very interesting in the end. And if Taylor Heineke doesn't go down, maybe they don't win that game. And guaranteeing a Super Bowl is a lot taller of a task than just predicting you're going to beat an opponent for a week. Obviously, it's good to see like confidence out of CeeDee Lamb, and I mean,
right, and he can't say no. I
Yeah.
don't think we're going.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, any professional athlete, when asked if they are going to make it to NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, Super Bowl, all that good stuff, all their answers should be yes. Otherwise, they shouldn't be out there, because that means they're not giving 100%. So, I mean, love the enthusiasm, love the confidence, but no, I think there's too many. Did he say win a Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl?
Get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, either way. I don't see them getting past Tampa. I don't see them getting past Green Bay. I don't see them getting past the Rams, how they looked on Monday night.
Yeah, I think the most potential that they have is to potentially even win 2. They could potentially win 2. But whoever eventually that they're going to have to run through, a great quarterback, which every great quarterback that they've played so far, it hasn't worked out really well, especially the way that Dak Prescott's playing. Yeah, their defense is going to carry them, but against a guy who can game manage and really, dissect everything that's thrown in front of them and choose the correct play time in and time out, you're going to get beat. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that they have a chance this year to get there, just due to how high powered the top 3 teams are. Throw the Rams in there as well. And you never know who else gets that other wild card spot. Could even be a hot team. You really never know at this point. But yeah, I don't see that they can go this far, especially without a Tony Pollard. Zeke's too banged up, I feel like, to carry the workload like he used to be able to do so. His productivity ever since he's gotten in the league has slowly declined year in and year out. I refer to him with Todd Gurley all the time just because it's what we saw out of him as well. That overusage, the overproduction early because you are so good. But yeah, first, second round, third round exit. It'd be a stretch to see them in the NFC Championship, but yeah, I don't think that they have a chance.
Yeah. The only chance I do see because it pretty much looks like they're going to be the 4th seed. I mean, unless they win out.
Right.
They need to
win
win
this
out.
weekend, they clinch.
Yeah. Which clinches them just a spot in the playoff. Oh yeah, clinches them a 4th spot. That's the worst they can get.
Unless Arizona, continues to struggle and loses, then they could potentially pass them and get that 3rd spot. But yeah, right now, I don't think they want that 3rd spot either.
No, but yeah, the only way I could see them really running the table and maybe getting to an NFC Championship is if Green Bay, Tampa, Arizona, all these teams get knocked out. So then Dallas becomes now home field advantage the rest of the way if they go the distance. So, which I don't see happening. It's going to go through Tampa, Green Bay, Arizona, one of those 3, maybe even the Rams. Again, they stopped the Cardinals from clinching a playoff spot on Monday night, and staying within 1 game of that NFC West. So that's going to be fun to watch coming down the stretch.
That'd be absolutely insane for them to clinch home field advantage with the 1 seed and host the Super Bowl if they end up getting there. That's got to be a first. Oh, so Tampa hosted last year, but they were the 2 seed. Where if they were the 1 seed, get the bye and have home field advantage and play in the Super Bowl at home, that'd be insane. Yeah, but there is news too potentially about how this whole COVID thing goes. They might end up moving the Super Bowl out of LA.
They actually were.
They're thinking about doing it to Jerry World, actually.
The Bucks, I think they were lower than the 2 seed because they played the divisional round at the Saints because that was Drew Brees' last game in the Dome against Tom.
That's right. The Saints, they were a wild card team.
Yeah, so the Saints
clinched.
They played at home. The Bucks played at home against Washington, and then at the Saints, and then in Green Bay.
They were at Washington.
Oh, they were?
Washington won
the division. That's right. And so did the Saints.
Yep. So did the Packers, and so did the.
So they didn't play a home game at all in the playoffs.
Nope. Super Bowl was their home game.
So yeah, that would be a first if the Rams were able to clinch
one somehow and play the Super Bowl at their own place. That'd be insane. And if that'd be insane too, if the Chargers somehow can pull it out on the AFC side to do the same. 2 number 1 seeds, both having home field advantage at the same goddamn place. Both playing in the Super Bowl at their home field. That would be insane.
They would. How would they even do? They wouldn't be able to do that because like AFC NFC Championship are the same day, like 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So how the heck would they have a stadium set up for Chargers and then in a half hour, less than that, have to turn it around? All right, everybody, get the fuck out.
Players out on the field starting to warm up and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Too. They definitely have to bump the game back probably to 7.
Or somehow, or it's usually Championship Sunday. They'd have to almost move it to a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, but doing that, the team who plays on the Saturday has that extra day of advantage and preparation, which they're not going to give an advantage to a team that close to the Super Bowl.
That's true. Yeah, I knew that's interesting.
Yeah, how they both probabilities are still on the table too.
Yeah, for sure. My first question here for you for the NFL, with the recent surge of positive COVID cases in the NFL, kind of an idea to throw out there. Do you think they should do a similar format as the Final Four March Madness did last year? They didn't test any teams in the Final Four to keep it an even playing field. Could you see them maybe not testing come playoff time to avoid teams getting any major disadvantages down the stretch?
I don't think so. I think they're actually going to do the opposite, just because they do have to take safety as an ultimate priority for all these people, and especially with all the recent studies and science coming out with like how it affects your heart. And like if you got something you're working on, you could have a heart attack or a stroke, and that could be it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. They already ruled today that they're no longer having a limit for how many people you can have on your roster going into the postseason. So that's one big step. They're still meeting. I think they're still waiting on the NFLPA to come back on what they feel like they should go with coming forward. And they're in a tough spot because obviously you have to protect the safety. Like that's your number one job, is protecting the safety of the people. And number two, a lot of these guys that are in that their teams are probably in the hunt currently with their teams having COVID. So they're in a real tough spot with how they're going to move forward in doing this. And already on top of the NFL already going back to daily testing, and now coming out tomorrow, this news will be coming out, the memo of all level 1 and 2 employees in the NFL have to get the booster shot, the third one. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward. Obviously, once the news breaks, we'll kind of have an understanding of what direction they're going. But I can tell you, as far as Ian Rappaport reported earlier today, the meeting was literally scheduled for 20 minutes between the owners because they're all, we're going to make that money. Like, we ain't losing money. They ain't going down to 6,000 fan stadiums right before play. Like,
Yeah.
they've already established, and they already established that at the beginning when basically the NFL doctor basically told Fauci to fuck himself and that they were going to do what they were going to do. They basically set the precedent there, and I don't think they're turning back at this point, especially with the cap going up to 200 million next year. It's just this much more money. Like Cowboys, $77 million a game is what they would lose if they'd have to forfeit a game or whatever. They ain't going to let that happen. I do see, though, how we could see a lot of practice guys, a lot of guys we haven't seen, have a debut in the NFL and show what they could do, which is never a bad thing. I feel like it's always a really good thing. But in a case where you do have a situation like Green Bay, if Rodgers were to get it and have to miss, say, a playoff game or a Super Bowl, we're fucked. So in a situation like that, I feel like they also have to understand that positioning as well, because there's a lot of teams that would be in that same spot if their quarterback was out. So it's interesting going to see how they handle this. But yeah, I don't see them just forgetting all testing. Maybe for the Super Bowl game, I could see, all right, Super Bowl week, everybody's a go. But then you also have people on the other side who are seriously concerned for their health, and they don't want to line up against a guy who is, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Either way you go with it, obviously, like safety of all the players and the fan, like everybody involved is obviously the first priority. But then as an owner of a team, as a spectator of the game, you want to see the best guys out on the field. So if they were to waive testing for, again, like Super Bowl week, just to give like a fair advantage across the board, it makes sense to do that. But again, yeah, it's a tough decision to make. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, the details of what comes out of that meeting today, when it's all said and done. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if this surge of positive tests continues down the stretch and more players are out. We might see some more shifts in the rankings. But I guess good to get it out now before playoff time. So then hopefully once the playoffs start, that's not as bad as it is right now.
Yeah, and this kind of tangents into my next question too here. With the president of the NFLPA being J.C. Treader, an offensive lineman for the Browns, their team currently having a number of people obviously put on the COVID list. I think that they're up to 15 or 16 guys right now that potentially are going to be out of Saturday's game and on a short week, like I'm saying, playing on Saturday. they're kind of, he's in a real tough spot because he's the guy, that's got to make the ruling on all this stuff with all the votes and whatever. And I don't know. Do you think that they get a win this weekend, even with all this? Obviously, we'll know better once they rule on what's the case here. Do asymptomatic people who test positive, are they allowed to play if they feel fine? Do they have to pass physical? There's going to all these questions that are yet to answer. But do you think that they can get a win this weekend, given their current situation?
I mean, I think they're missing. They're going to be missing a lot of offensive guys. Like I know Jarvis Landry kind of leads the list of
him. Baker, Chubb's out for injury. They have one of their guards, two of their corners, a safety, a linebacker, like almost one of every single one of their positions basically has a guy that's out.
Yeah.
And their head coach.
I mean, ultimately it's going to come down to their defense. I mean, like last week, getting that near win over Baltimore, it came down to their defense getting a big stop at the end when they needed it. I mean, they still have Garrett isn't out, is he? I don't think he is. I didn't see his name, at least, if I remember correctly.
I didn't see his name on the list, no.
I mean, it's tough when you have any of your guys missing across the board, but I mean, they had Case Keenum step in on that Thursday night game without Mayfield, and he got them the win. So he shows that he could still do what he needs to do to get it done. It helps they are at home, so that definitely helps their case. The Raiders come to town, who have been sliding themselves, so
they've imploded.
Yeah, so I mean, the Raiders are favored by 1.5, which I think it was early in the week. It was Browns favored, but since all these guys have gone out, it's flipped the other way. I don't know. I mean, that's a game they can't afford to lose because they're right there in the mix in the North. The North is really still up for grabs, honestly. If they can keep pace,
Steelers,
yeah,
pretty much.
Because if they get the win and then Green Bay beats Baltimore, Browns are first place, I think, with tiebreakers.
Yeah, because the Browns beat the Bengals
and the Ravens. So yeah, if Browns win, Ravens lose. Browns are the new AFC North leaders. So they realize what's at stake in this game. I don't think that they piss it away, honestly. I think they find a way to get it done against a Raiders team, like you said, that's imploded over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially being at home in a cold day, having a warm kind of team coming. Obviously, it's not as tragic as it used to be with them being in Oakland, now coming from Vegas, which, shout out, the NFL announced today that they'll be hosting the 2024 Super Bowl. So cool for them to do that. But yeah, I just feel like too much has gone wrong. They've continued to slide. Browns at home.
Yeah. A nice question here for you. With the Jags, Lions, Texans, Jets season's over. I don't think all of these teams are eliminated, but they essentially might as well be. Which team do you see having the biggest bounce back in 2022?
That's a really good question. I'm going to say the Lions. And the reason I'm going to say that is just because all the people who are still there on the team continue to show week in and week out that they actually love their coach, and they continue to show up and fight for him. They haven't given up, which it looks like in all the other buildings. They've kind of quit on their coach, quit on the upper management. So I'm going to say the Lions in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, the Jags, a team that's close to imploding as well, just with the rumors of Urban Meyer basically throwing everybody under the bus, calling a lot of people out, kind of stirring up controversy there. Texans head coach David Culley could be a one and done, just with how he's kind of managed that team and how they've looked this year. Jets, Robert Saleh has done enough with that defense that he's not gonna really be on the move. It's just been more or less a quarterback carousel for them this year of
just their offense in general.
staying healthy. Yeah, they've had a couple of the receivers out over the year as well. So, yeah, I'd agree that the Lions, again, they only have one win on the season, but it was over a good Vikings team who is still not out of it and at times looked like they could be a potential playoff team this season. So they show that they can go toe to toe with a good team and beat them.
Yeah, and how many close games have they had this season? The
Yeah, a lot.
Ravens, week 1, Niners, like they're a couple pieces away from being in all of these games or potential mistakes away from being in all these games. And that's why I said the Lions too, because they're just the closest. They do have the quarterback that has proven that he can lead a drive down at the end of the game against a really good team. He's proven that he can do that. Obviously, he got to a Super Bowl as the Rams quarterback. I just feel like he's lacking confidence, and MCDC is the perfect coach that the Lions have brought in to kind of – I feel like it was a great move. Him being a super confidence builder towards Jared Goff's career, getting him his confidence back, letting him know that, hey, you're the man here, type of thing. I feel like that team has a lot of pride, and they're a couple pieces away.
Yeah.
Healthy, they're actually a pretty good team.
Yeah, and I'd say the Jets too, if they can figure out the quarterback situation, again, a piece or two on both sides of the ball, compared to where they are this season, because what is their record again? 3-10.
3-10, yeah.
I could see them being a 5-6 win team next year, so I could see them improving as well. So yeah, if there's a team other than the Lions that I see improving next year, I'd say the Jets right now. See the new head coach. Yeah, they just got to stay healthy and get a couple more pieces, and I feel like they're good to go up there in New York too.
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to be about a 5-6 win team next year as well.
Yeah.
And on to my last question here. Who do you think is the best coach in the NFL? If your answer is Bill Belichick, then when does he no longer hold that title?
I mean, I would put Belichick in that, like last week we were talking about who we think would win coach of the year. I said Belichick. I know when asked about it, he said that he thinks that Cliff Kingsbury should get it this year. So he was kind of throwing a bone his way as far as coach of the year award, which Bill's always been a modest guy. He's never really wanted to brag about himself or his team. He just goes out there and coaches football. I mean, it's hard to not take him off that throne right now. If there's a second guy I'd put in that conversation, maybe a third, Brian Flores and Matt LaFleur, just with their consistent, Brian Flores's way to turn around that team and fix some things in a hurry and show a lot of success over half of the season now. And then Matt LaFleur for his consistency, 13-3 for his third straight year with Green Bay. Or 10-3 through 13 games for his third straight year. Again, chasing that. Well, this year they'd be going for 14-3 if they can win out. But just the legacy that Bill has built, I wouldn't put Flores or LaFleur over him right now, but they'd be like a good second and third candidate to consider, I believe.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially since he's doing all of this with a rookie quarterback. Like, that's what I feel like cements him up to the top. And with how they turned around the team, missing the playoffs last year, now being back to number 1 seed in the AFC at this point, I'd put Cliff Kingsbury in that second spot just for that reason as well. Cardinals weren't the greatest team in the world last year. Turn around and they're one of the top teams in the NFL. They've had a lot of hiccups too, especially now with D-Hop. News coming out right before we hopped on the podcast. He's going to seek a second opinion on his leg or his knee, something related to that matter due to the results that they got back from an MRI today. So who knows how long he could potentially be out if for the rest of the year. So that's losing JJ Watt early. Chandler Jones was out for a handful of games. Like, Kyler was out, like he's done a tremendous job as well, keeping their team where they're at. So I'd go 1A, 1B, those two guys, and then the Brian Flores in that second spot.
Yeah, I guess the only like I agree to have Cliff Kingsbury in that conversation, but again, it'd be tough to put him in that one spot just because they have struggled against good teams this year, like Green Bay, like the Rams, to where to be that elite coach, to be that elite team, you have to show that you can beat these kind of teams. And
New
I mean,
England lost to the Dolphins. They lost 4 straight home games at the beginning of the year.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
it's like everybody's had their shitters. It's like LaFleur, Saints, Vikings.
mhm.
It's just like every coach that is really good has had their shitters this year that should be up there. But just for the turnaround, I feel like that plays a huge part into it. And that's why Flores, Kingsbury, and whatever. It's like the Packers, we haven't had really any turnaround. We're the same exact spot that we've been in almost for the last fucking 20 years, it feels like.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really done anything actually, like if we take the next step, if we get to a Super Bowl, then yeah, maybe you could say that because we hit that hump. But until we do that, where we like push forward, I don't feel like he should be. Granted, he's a hell of a coach, though.
Yeah. And my last question here for you for the NFL. Should Cooper Kupp end up being the first receiver since 2005, Steve Smith, to complete the Triple Crown, leading the NFL in yards, receptions, and touchdowns? Should he be considered in the MVP conversation?
Yeah, you should have to put him in there just because that's a total dominance. Like without him, what would that team do? Take away all those touchdowns, take away all those yards. Yeah, I'd say so. And especially with Matt Stafford throwing him the ball, that helps both of their cases with their numbers. Where I don't know. I feel like he should. Like he's having an incredible year. Like no doubt about that.
Yeah. And they'd actually be there's only been 3 receivers since 1966 that have completed the Triple Crown. Steve Smith, Jerry Rice. I can't remember who the third one was, but I mean, it's only been done. I think it was some odd name back in the 90s or early 2000s.
Sterling Sharp.
Sterling Sharp. Okay. So yeah, 3 big name guys who all were the best at their position at one point in their career. Yeah, for him to add himself to that list, I think it's hard not to have him in that conversation, like you said. Again, still Tom is a front runner. I think Rodgers is second if the odds are still kind of what they were last week. But yeah, I'd say if Cooper Kupp completes Triple Crown, I think he has receptions lead by like 10, 15 yards by a couple hundred. The only one that's close right now is he has 11 touchdowns. Mike Evans has 10. So touchdowns seems like it's going to be the closest stat that it's going to come down to this year. So long as
Justin Jefferson's only like 110 yards behind him.
Yeah, so that's what it was. So yeah, he has almost 10, 15 catches, which is a full game, if not 2 games. I mean, that's a lot of catches for a game if you're going to make that up.
He's more than that. The next Chris Godwin is in second with catches at 92. Cooper Kupp's got 113. So that's 21 receptions.
Okay, so he's pretty much got that wrapped up because he's not going to all of a sudden stop getting catches unless he gets hurt.
And he's also been targeted at least 30 more times than everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's crazy what Jamar Chase is doing, though. He's only has 60 receptions and he has 1,000 yards.
Oh, yeah, because he keeps taking the top off of defenses for 40, 50, 60 yards a pop.
Yep. He has 98 targets this year, which is almost the lowest. That's insane.
Yeah.
Only Deebo Samuel and Tyler Lockett have less. They're 93 targets.
which Deebo Samuel, he's like a running back receiver combo for San Francisco right now. So he'd have more if it weren't for that.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is 2 touchdowns behind him in 400 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
dude.
gonna come.
Justin Jefferson, though, man. Devontae's catching him too
Yeah,
in yards.
it's gonna come down to touchdowns. I feel like it's gonna be the just because like you can't guarantee a guy's you can guarantee a guy's gonna get catches, you can guarantee a guy's gonna get yards, you can't guarantee a guy's gonna get a touchdown because down in the red zone, whoever's open, that's who you're hitting. You're not gonna be like, oh, I gotta get Cup the ball, I gotta give him another touchdown. No, you hit whoever's open.
Well,
Which
unless you're the Rams case or the Packers, where in those situations you're looking for Cooper
Cooper
Cup,
Cup,
Justin Jefferson,
yeah.
Devontae, those are
But
the
for the
guys.
Rams, you got OBJ, you got Van Jefferson, you got Higbee, who's really good in the red zone, and Cup. So all these guys, obviously Cup is probably his go-to guy, but all these guys are a 1B, C, D, E, right there of like you give Cup the look for half a second. If he's not open, one of those other guys are going to be open. Like you don't keep your eyes on Cup too long, banking on him to be open because you have other really good guys to get the ball to as well. But
Yeah, the only 2 tight ends on this list that show up here in the top 20, Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, as far as getting the ball.
where Kelsey too, I keep forgetting about him. He's kind of having I shouldn't say a quiet year. I don't know what his stats are, but I know last game.
He's got 5 touchdowns, 875 yards.
Okay, so he's gonna have 1,000-yard season again.
Mm-hmm.
But last year, didn't he set a tight end record for most yards by a tight end? Wasn't it like 1,1700 or something?
Yeah, it was something insane.
But again,
George Kittle's storming back too. He's
yeah,
only played 10 games. He's got 6 touchdowns
yeah, he's had over 150 yards in
and almost
each of his
800
last 2
yards.
games.
Yeah,
I think it was like
coming.
I think it was like 370 yards over his last 2 games he's had. Stole him out of free agency in one of my fantasy leagues. He's been last 2 games he's got me over 30 points a pop, so it's been nice.
Yeah, switching over to the hardwood here. Great question to start it out. Which NBA Finals game do you think would be better to watch and have better headlines? Nets Lakers or Warriors Nets?
Gotta be Warriors Nets. Just because by that point it'll be Clay's return, Steph having a historic year, them trying to rebuild a dynasty there. And then the other side of that, Nets. You said Nets for both, right? Lakers Nets, Warriors Nets. Yeah, and then the Nets chasing their first NBA title, all the controversy they've gone through. Right now, they have a huge COVID hit. Last night, they had to play with a league minimum 8 guys, and they got the win in Toronto. Alpha was in Toronto, but they played Toronto. They got an overtime
Kyrie
win.
might be coming back.
Yeah, I saw that. So, yeah, I think the Warriors would be. I mean, I think it'd be a more fun game to watch. I think if the Nets played the Lakers, the Nets would just steamroll the Lakers. In my opinion, just with. But I mean, if the Lakers make it that far, then that means that they're rolling. So I don't know. The current stance of the Warriors, current stance of the Lakers, like I'd like to see the Warriors in the finals, but I don't know. But like I said, as far as headlines and like, holy shit, they turned it around and made it. The Lakers getting that far would be really interesting too. But
yeah, I personally think it'd be the Lakers just because of the fact that the whole world has always wanted to see the KD LeBron showdown, where both of them are the leaders of the team. Where we didn't get that. We almost had that, but KD wasn't, he was the sidekick on the Warriors team. He wasn't the main guy. Where I feel it's like Game 7 KD versus LeBron. Like, there's no greater headline than that could be for right now in the current NBA stance. like you said, it would be a shootout if it was the Warriors and Nets. The games would be like 150, probably be the highest scoring NBA Finals ever, because we'd see probably 150 to 148 games. But like you said, if the Lakers were to turn it around and end up making it there in LeBron's 19th year, getting to see that KD LeBron showdown, especially with James Harden and against Kyrie, like this is like a Space Jam moment all lined up, like perfect. Like if it were to happen, obviously, but they have a long way ahead of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it'd be cool too of like you said, LeBron versus KD, Curry versus KD of the when KD got both finals MVPs when he won it with Golden State. That kind of puts to bed the idea of, do they really need KD to win it? Because if Curry can handle KD in the Nets and win a title over them, that kind of puts that to bed. I mean, I'd already consider Curry as a more of a legendary player than KD, just with his accolades, he like what he's done, more titles, things like that. Obviously, there's things in favor of KD as well as being always the best shooter. Like he's 7 feet tall, but like he's changed the game too. But I don't know. Either way, it'd be a really fun narrative: LeBron KD or Curry KD. Sticking with Curry, making NBA history last night, finally got past Ray Allen for most threes all time. I mean, this has always been a topic of conversation, but do you think he has officially solidified himself as the best shooter of all time after last night?
Absolutely. I feel like we've known this for a long time coming. And now that he even said it himself that he didn't want to claim that title until he actually broke the record.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's actually done it, still with a whole bunch of time left, I feel like he's just going to increase that lead so far that it may never be touched again. But yeah, he's definitely hands down the greatest shooter of all time. 3-point.
Yeah. Well, even just his handles, like his two range down. He's a small guy down in the paint. He does
And
so
that's why
much
he
with the
changed the
ball.
game, because he's so small.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too. Listening to I don't know if it was Reggie or if it was one of the guys from TNT. Like no, it's Kenny the Jet Smith talking about it, where a lot of the great shooters of like the NBA were good off the pick, off the dribble, or catch and shoot. They're only good at one of those three things.
He does them
Curry
all.
is phenomenal at all three. So and two, getting the nod from like you usually in a sport you rarely hear somebody look at somebody and say, yeah, they're a better shooter than me. Both Ray Allen and um Reggie both said that Curry is the best shooter of all time. So to get the nod even from those two guys, to get their acceptance that yeah, this guy's a better shooter than I am, where you'd almost put those two as the only two other guys in the conversation. If they themselves are putting him above them, then yeah, like, and like you said, he's got a long ways to go. In a couple weeks here, he could break 3,000. I could see him breaking 4,000 threes by the end of his career. So where, like you said, he's going to put that standard so high that unless we see somebody in college of holy shit, this is another Steph Curry coming through the ranks.
Well, the way that he already changed the NBA, we already do see a handful of those guys who are 3-point specialists who come in knocking down the logo shots consistently. Trae Young, prime example.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy who's blossomed off that same tree. We're just going to see that he changed the game. It's crazy for how he literally has impacted the game so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Then going to my last question here for the NBA, going back to this Lakers team, rumors started circulating about potentially Russ being on the move. Where does he end up if you do see him out? Early rumors has been they offered a Ben Simmons straight up for Russ so far, and the Sixers laughed at him.
They're just gonna get stuck with that guy because they are asking way too much for him.
Well, and his contract carries $45 million next year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe Portland, because I know Portland is now, after shutting down the idea of getting rid of McCollum and Lillard, they're kind of on the verge of a full rebuild, getting rid of Lillard and McCollum. Like, thank you for everything you've done for Portland, but we need to like change something here. To where, I mean, I wouldn't say Russell Westbrook is worth Lillard for sure, maybe McCollum, like in a straight up trade, but also would Russ want to go to a small market like that, a small team of Portland?
Well, he just was at Washington. They're kind of a smaller market team.
Yeah, that's true.
But like my main thing with this whole thing is just like, okay, LeBron first, you signed off on bringing him. You, AD, both signed off on bringing him in, saying that you could make it work. Now that it's kind of not working, or it potentially starting to work, him still leading the NBA in turnovers, it's just like, I feel like it would add to the legacy for LeBron too, being the guy that got him his title, like the only guy to, he's been with so many different people. This came up short. They've never played with a guy. LeBron's never played with a guy. He's always been the guy who's got the ball. AD's always been the guy who's got the ball. They've never played with a guy who wants the ball like that. So I don't know. I feel like no other team's going to take him just due to his contract. I feel like they're stuck.
Yeah, and if they decide to get rid of him and bring somebody else in, I could see him retiring. Just because nobody, like, for him, he has nothing else to prove. He's a triple-double king. Yes, he never got a title.
Yeah, or be one of those free agency guys that stays a vet for so long and just gets picked up for a playoff run.
Yeah, that too.
Yep, you're going to be coming off the bench. We're going to need triple-double. We're going to need fucking good production out of you. Come on in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if the Lakers want to turn things around, they're gonna have to do something. And again, like you said, with him leading the league in turnovers, like they either gotta.
He's been getting better at turnovers. His numbers have been going down, but still, you can't turn over the ball.
Yeah. My last question here for you for the NBA. Kind of with the COVID hitting NFL a lot, also making us run through the NBA, including our Bucks with Giannis out until at least Christmas. How many games do you see the Bucks losing potentially? He's expected to be out till at least Christmas, so that it puts him on pace to miss their next 6 games. Currently at 18-11. How far do you think the Bucks skid, if at all, or do you think the other guys step up enough? And kind of looking at their stretch, they have a somewhat easy stretch.
Yeah, I see they could lose 2, maybe 3 games. Pacers, Celtics, and Mavs, depending on the status of Luka, because I know he's out tonight due to being injured. So if he's back, Bucks lose. He's out, crapshoot. They're going to lose to the Pacers and they're going to lose to the Celtics, but they're definitely Pelicans, Cavs, and Rockets, all bottom feeding teams of the league.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're lucky with the stretch that they have right now.
And even if it extended, hey, they got the Magic twice, they got the Pelicans again, they got the Pistons who are at the bottom. Like, they'd be fine even if he's out till January 3rd.
Yeah, but at the same time, given this is an easy stretch of basketball, you almost wish it'd be better to have him, because they could go on a 7-8 game win streak and boost themselves to the top of the East. Where now without him, you have to fight and claw for these games that you'd be favored by maybe double digits in some of them, where now you're going to have to grind it out to the end without your top guy. So
yeah, but they ain't going to catch the Nets.
They're not that far back.
What KD's doing right now is unbelievable.
They're only 2.5 games back. They haven't played, or they've only played each other once this year because it was the season opener. And being in the you play your everybody in your conference at least 3 times, so they have at least 2 more matchups yet down the stretch.
Yeah, I'm just saying, just for how hot the Nets are right now, and KD especially,
Yeah,
without James Harden, it's incredible what he's doing. Where I think he's put his name to the top of the MVP conversation. But yeah, then let's get over on to the ice. My Flyers currently have won 3 games in a row. Do you think that they find themselves in the midst of the playoffs come around to All-Star time?
pull up the standings just to get an idea.
I believe they are currently 5th place in the wild card race with 26 points. Penguins and Red Wings currently sit in the wild card spot with 35 and 31. In order to catch in their division, they'd at least need to get 39. So they're about 13 points back from their division race. Otherwise, they're in the wild card race.
And you asked if they would be in the wild card.
Are they going to be in the top 8 come All-Star break?
I don't think so. I mean, Pittsburgh's on a 5-game streak them right now. They're playing really good hockey. Carolina and the Rangers, a slight hiccup. They're going to turn things around. It's going to make things tighter for sure, just with how good the Flyers are doing. I think that they're starting to close that gap. I mean, they're down almost 20 points a week ago. Now they're only down 13.
13. Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely making up some ground, which again has helped with the teams ahead of them, aside from Pittsburgh, kind of slowing down a little bit. But it's going to be tough for them to make a push into the top. I mean, past Columbus, past Pittsburgh, they'd have to go past both of those teams to get into the top 4 of the Metro. I don't know. I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be within probably less than 5 points come All-Star time between like those couple teams. But I don't know. I think it's going to take a little bit more of a stretch from Philly to say. I mean, maybe after like if they can move their 3-win streak to 5 or 6, then it's like okay, they're rolling. And if the other teams ahead of them, like the Rangers, continue their a losing streak, Carolina as well, then a really good week of hockey and the teams ahead of you having one bad week, you can jump up really quick. So,
well, and their next games are really important too. Ottawa, Washington, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Sharks, Kings, Ducks, Pittsburgh again, Sharks, Carolina, Boston, Rangers, Islanders, Red Wings, all teams that currently are right in front of you.
yeah.
So all, like you said, they've already improved 8 points over the last week. I think that they can at least go 500 on this next little stretch. I do see them in the top 8. I see Boston being in the top 3 in the Atlantic. I see either Tampa or the Florida Panthers hitting a streak at some point to drop them out. But it's fun hockey to watch right now. And they have Montreal in their next matchup. So that's another one.
Yeah. Yeah, talking about another team kind of making their way up here. The Senators have won 5 of their last 6 games, including wins over the Hurricanes, Avalanche, Lightning, and last night an 8-2 win over the Florida Panthers. Is this stretch of theirs a fluke, or could we see them continue to make up ground in the Atlantic?
I mean, they're gonna, as far as I can see them surging, is one more spot. They're gonna pass shitty Buffalo. That's the only team they're gonna pass. That's as far as they're gonna make a run in the Atlantic. Maybe even over the Red Wings, be in that 4th spot, but they're a long shot for the playoffs. I feel like this run, though, they are a young team. They do show moments of greatness, like we've seen this 5-game winning streak. They show that they can beat high-quality teams. Just to do it consistently, they haven't proven that to me yet, to where they can do it over a month, 2 months period of time, which is what you need to do in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. And one part of it is, again, talking about some of these bottom teams like Montreal, Buffalo, where they've had such a bad streak to start that no matter how good of a streak you go on, you're too far behind already. And I think Ottawa is one of those teams too. Like, it's cool to see a team turn things around and play as good hockey as they have been playing as of late, but eventually they're going to cool down. And I mean, in the Atlantic, there's too many good teams ahead of them to where, like you said, they're not gonna hit a 1-2 month stretch of good hockey and bank on all these teams ahead of them hitting a bad stretch for them to catch up. It's just they're way too. I mean, for a wild card spot, like you said, for Detroit, they are 12 points back right now. From Tampa in that third spot, 21 points back. So like they're way
That's
too far
11
back.
wins without
Yeah.
them winning a game.
Yeah. Which
It's
I mean,
possible, but
they do have the least amount of games. Well, Boston has 25 played. Ottawa has 26. The rest of these teams are 28, 30.
But that's what I mean, dude. They have 26 games played. They have 19 points. Boston has 1 less game, and they have 30.
Yeah.
They have 11 more points with 1 less game played. Like, that just goes to show you how shitty of a team that they actually are.
Yeah, that's true.
My next question, do you think Alex Ovechkin finishes in the top 3 in the points this season? Currently sits at the second spot. McDavid and Draisaitl are tied at number 1 spot with 45. Ovechkin currently has 44.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun watching the last couple of games. He's slowed down a little bit for his goals. But the nice thing for him is he's racking up points for assists because he draws a crowd. Once he gets to his spot, it seems like while he is obviously chasing Gretzky's all-time goal record, it seems like he's not afraid to pass the puck down to somebody else who has a better look than he does. And like I said, he draws a crowd. He gets a lot of attention to where some of those guys do get an open spot, and he has one of the nastiest slap shots in the game to where he has that speed to get it to a guy where in a split second, if the goalie keeps his eyes on Ovechkin too long, he's leaving a lane open for another guy to score a goal. So I feel like he gets hot again with his goal scoring. And again, he just racks up assists after assists with getting other guys looks as well. So yeah, I see him finishing in the top couple guys for points this year.
He's won it 1 time, and that was his third year in the NHL with 112, which is insane. Do you think he can surpass 112?
I don't think so, just because of his longevity. Seems like it's been tested the last couple of years, whether he slows down, he gets tired, he gets injured.
Whatever he's done, he's going in reverse this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it catches up with him eventually. And I mean, I could see him like possibly breaking 100, but to break his 112 point outing, I don't know. Obviously, once we get past the halfway point of the season to see where he's at, to see if he's even on pace for it. I mean, right now he's really close to being on pace for it.
Yeah, 28 games, and he currently has 44 points. Back in the half shortened season of the NHL in the 2021, he had 42 in half of a season. So in half that time, he's already surpassed that amount of points.
Yeah. So if you say he's at 45 points.
Well, if you think he's going to be in the top 3, he's definitely going to be over 100.
Yeah, like I see him being over 100, but again, Draisaitl,
112
McDavid
is his highest.
Yeah, but I see Draisaitl, McDavid like being way up there, and then Ovechkin is like he's still up there, but I feel like he's going to be eventually those two are going to separate themselves by maybe 20, 30, 40 points come the end of the season.
See, I actually think Ovechkin's going to finish top two. I think only one of those guys is going to surge just because they're struggling right now. One guy's going to take the lead role. Ovechkin's man down the ship in Washington. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see again, like you said, kind of him having the Tom Brady effect on his career this year, playing at one of the ultimate high levels he has at that age. I mean, obviously, it'd be good to see if he can keep that throughout the whole season. But over the last 2 or 3 years, again, with him slowing down, getting injured, obviously, I'd like to see him break that trend. But like with history the past couple of years, it's going to show he's going to slow down eventually. But we'll see. My next question here for you: the debate for best division in hockey is more often than not in favor of the Metro. If the Metro is the best division in hockey, which one is the worst?
Talked about it already earlier. It's got to be the Atlantic. I think they're definitely the worst division in hockey by far. Sabres, Senators, Canadians, three teams who have been struggling. Red Wings look like they potentially could be turning it around, but we'll see on them yet. I still haven't completely bought into them, but those four teams have been a shit stain of hockey for the last couple of years, just being in the bottom. Kind of feel bad for them, so that's definitely the worst division.
Yeah, I mean, just even looking at the points again with how they're the only division with two teams under 20 points. So that against them right there. Like you said, Buffalo, Ottawa, Montreal, all being kind of the bottom of the league. I mean, if there's a second division to kind of throw out there as far as the separation, maybe on paper, the Central would be the next with Arizona, Chicago. But again, that's only two teams that are kind of weighing that division down.
And those are just two teams who have a lot of shit going on outside of the game of hockey. So I feel like you can't really count the Central because usually those two teams are actually pretty decent.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the rest, I mean, the Pacific is super tight right now. I think it's the tightest division as far as Seattle at the bottom.
Points, 14 points from the top to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is
definitely the closest.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pacific is, I mean, Metro, I still think from top to bottom is the best division, but
Pacific, it's two different styles of hockey. Pacific style of hockey is the old running gun, what you see around playoff time, big physical, not a lot of high-powered scoring. Central, you kind of see that, but that's where you see the star power with the skilled guys like the Colorados, the Wild, the guys who have those guys. Then you move over to the Eastern Metro, physical, highly skilled guys. And then you go to the Atlantic Division where you have a couple teams who are really good and a couple teams that really suck. And that's kind of how all the divisions go across the board.
Yeah.
Then my last question here for you. We have not seen a defenseman score at least 30 goals since the 08-09 season when Mike Green scored 31 for the Washington Capitals. Cale Makar, superstar defenseman and currently a youngster, only being his second technical year in the NHL. He's currently tied with a lead on his team with 13. Do you think that we can see him pass the 30-goal mark this season? If he does, do you think that he could potentially beat the all-time record Paul Coffey has with 48?
Passing 30, yes. 48. I mean, just statistically, getting like only 10 games out from the halfway point of the season. He's on pace to at least break 30, unless he turns things around, which I feel like some team. I mean, I guess it depends on how they are down the stretch. If they tighten things up, or if they hit a surge. Just because usually I feel like come close to playoff time, like last night with the 8-2 game of Senators over Panthers, I feel like you see a lot less lopsided games like that, unless it's a team playing
Well,
Montreal or
he plays. He's on Colorado.
yeah. I'm just saying, like, I feel like
So
he'll keep the pace for like a little while, but eventually games get tighter, less goals are scored. So going for that 48 record is going to be harder. To where if he was at closer to 20 goals at this point of the season, he might have a chance. But I mean, with any sport, usually defense tightens up come the end of the season. Teams start to figure each other out a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely on pace to at least break 30.
Yeah, I'd say he breaks 30. I say he gives the 40. I think he could break 40 even, maybe even catching this number with 48 just due to the team that he's on with the high-powered guys that he has with McKinnon, Landeskog, Granton, and their power play is unbelievable. That's where he gets a lot of his goals because he is the guy in the middle taking the shots, kind of being the QB of the power play. So I say he's got a shot.
Yeah, I mean, anytime anybody's chasing history at like, especially him being in his second year to put himself in that ballpark of, hey, you're chasing history, you're going to be this close to it. Like that just sets up kind of your career for the rest of the way of, oh, now you beat this. All right, what's the next record to be? What's the next goal to achieve? My last question here for you. The most road wins in a season for a team was set by the 05-06 Red Wings with 31. The Hurricanes currently have 12 road wins in 27 games, and the Flames have 11 and 28. Could we see either of these teams break that record?
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Carolina. I feel like their coach, the way that they play, they're a tough team, especially being in the Metro. They got to play tough. I think that they could potentially set the bar this season.
Yeah, I mean, through 27 games, so then they've had 15 home games, 12 road games out of 27. So then they have 30 or 20, what is that, 29 more road games, right?
Yeah, 41 and 41.
Yeah. So 29 more road games. They'd have to win 20. They'd have to go 20-9 in their last 29 road games. That's a tall order. I feel like. But yeah, between these two, if a team is going to do it, I feel like it's going to be Carolina as well. Just with the Flames in the Pacific. With I get talking Monday about how Anaheim kind of came out of nowhere. They're playing really good hockey. And then in your division, having to go to Vegas, to Edmonton to win games. Vancouver also playing, like having a surge as well. Those are tough places to go in and get wins versus Colorado right now, Chicago, Arizona. Those are probably two of the easier places right now to go in and get wins.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you. Then my other question for you originally was going to be one, but I changed it for you here, which is unexpected. Currently, 4 of 7 of the Canadian NHL teams have had their jerseys thrown on the ice this season. Maple Leafs, Edmonton last night, Vancouver, and Montreal. Which Canadian team is next?
Oh boy. So it's just like
Which team do you think sucks so much that their fans literally throw their jersey on the ice next? It's already happened to 4.
which 4 again?
It's happened to Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto, and Edmonton. So Calgary.
I'm gonna say Ottawa. I'm gonna say it's gonna happen to Ottawa next. Again, they're having a good streak. Won 5 of their last 6. I can see them quickly hitting a shit streak and fans getting upset that they got their hopes up. And they have a tough stretch of hockey coming up too. They play your Flyers, Boston, Carolina, Capitals. These are all. I see it happening. What is that, next Thursday when they host Carolina and get absolutely shit on? It's going to get thrown on the ice next Thursday.
Yeah, I was going to say then, or even against hosting the Bruins. I think the Bruins are going to wreck them that following Wednesday as well. Or when the Pens come to town the next day, or the Wild the following weekend.
Well, they host the Bruins this Sunday, so it could happen because they host the Bruins this Sunday, and then, like you said, the following Wednesday.
Yeah, I think they might get the first one on the Bruins. Just because they just had a couple of top guys go out with COVID.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not going to last long enough. Senators.
You say Ottawa?
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's going to be the fucking Winnipeg Jets. Feel like their losing streak continues. Their fans just get sick of it. That's it. Actually, just kidding. I'm going to say the Flames, actually. Currently on a 4-game bender. I feel like their skid continues to slide, especially with this COVID break that they're having too. I feel like they come back, absolutely get trounced whenever their next game is against the Ducks too. I feel like that's when it happens. Thursday, December 21st.
Yeah, I mean, all these teams are kind of either. Again, Ottawa is like the only team right now that's like playing like super good. I mean, Calgary as well playing.
Well, Vancouver's won 5 straight.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess it depends which team quickly turns around and has a shit streak, or which team continues a shit streak long enough that the fans decide to throw another jersey on the ice.
And super realistically, December 27th is a really good chance in the Battle of Alberta. If Edmonton turns their shit around by then and just piss pounds them at home, going to see the ice littered with Flames jerseys.
Sounds good. My last question here for you. As we know, records in sports are meant to be broken at some point. Which of these NFL records do you see being broken first? Tom Brady's 5 touchdowns in 1 quarter, Brett Favre's 336 career interceptions, or Jerry Rice's 22,895 career receiving yards?
Well, Jerry's record's probably never going to get broken. Man, Favre threw a lot of picks.
He did.
And the only one that's close is Roethlisberger. And he's about to be done. Brady doesn't throw picks like that. If it's Magic, he's done. Matt Ryan, I'm going to say Brady's record is going to be the easiest one to go. I feel like some bucking guy, just watch, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. It's going to throw 6 TDs in 1 game.
A quarter.
In a quarter. It's going to be the Jags in like 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these 3 records, yeah, I think that Brady's
once the league switches to flag football,
yeah,
it keeps getting softer and softer.
Yeah, I mean, 5 touchdowns in a quarter sounds absolutely ridiculous. But looking at these other 2, it seems like the most likely to be able to do.
Oh yeah, because those records are so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, actually, like Eli Manning had a good chance if he would have continued to keep going.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers. Was Phillip the next closest, right? Before he retired? I think he was.
Drew Brees was.
Oh, Drew Brees.
Yeah, he's number 12. He's got 243. Favre's got 336. The next closest to Favre is 277. She'd had to throw fucking 59 more picks to tie. That's so many picks, dude. Jameis Winston, eh? If he gets a starting job back, throw some 30-pick seasons.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Um,
Now let's slide into our newest segment that we're about to do for you guys. All these college bowl games coming up here. We're doing a little something fun. What we're going to do here is each one of the games we're going to pull up. We're going to also flip a coin, a generated coin on the computer screen. Heads is going to be the away team. Tails is going to be the home team. Whichever one it lands on, that's which one the coin picks. And we're going to keep a tally of how the coin does through these bowl games.
I believe there's 44 bowl games total. So we'll have a decent size sample here to kind of see, again, by the mercy of a coin, picking each game. So I'll pull it up here. For those who are listening, you don't get to see, you just get to hear us say whatever is or whatever the result is. So first, this Friday, 2 games. We have the Bahama Bowl, Montana State University, Toledo. So heads is Montana State, tails is Toledo. Let's see who's going to win the Bahama Bowl. Toledo, who is already 10-point favorites. So we will see if they could do as their favorite and win that one. Next in the tailgreet or Cure Bowl. Gosh, they come up with random ass names every year, I swear.
We got Coastal Carolina and the Northern Illinois Huskies and IU. Woo, woo, woo.
All right, who's winning the Cure Bowl? Northern Illinois with the upsets. 10.5 underdogs in that one. So yeah, we'll see on Friday. Bahama Bowl, Cure Bowl. Let's see how the coin does. Let me just write this down here quick, make sure. This was Toledo and then Northern Illinois with the upset. Yeah, and then once bowl season's done, I mean, really after the first week of January, they go till. We will see how the coin did. And we plan to kind of use the same thing in the future, maybe for some other fun content. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Well, sounds good, everyone. Hope you enjoyed our newest little addition here. Have a great Wednesday, and we will see you guys all on Friday.